Welcome everyone. Today, I will explain the plot of a 2019 horror mystery film called Aquaslash. The movie begins with a couple named Brad and Cindy sneaking off together to enjoy some alone time. They both work as lifeguards at Wet Valley Pool, and after their shift is over, they decide to have some fun instead of going home. As they are getting intimate, a mysterious person with a sharp object appears behind them. Suddenly, Brad is pushed off the platform to his death, while Cindy is also brutally dismembered and killed. In the next scene, the Valley High School graduating class of 2018 is planning to hold their celebration at the Wet Valley Water Park. The class president, Alice, who also came up with the entire plan, announces that everyone will stay there for the weekend. Naturally, everyone becomes thrilled and rushes in to have a great time. We are now introduced to a student named Josh, who has come with his two friends, Chad and Slim. The three have formed a band named The Blades, and they plan to perform during the event. However, they are quite disappointed to find out that the stage is too small to perform. Meanwhile, a man named Conrad comes up to them and introduces himself. He says that he has served as the park's caretaker and maintenance worker for the last 35 years. The boys question him about the horrific murder that happened in the park 20 years ago, but Conrad insists it was an accident and there's nothing to worry about. Next, many girls participate in the park's yearly car wash competition, where two winners will receive a free trip to Europe. The event is organized by Priscilla, who happily watches as the girls wash the car. Just then, a staff member named Tommy approaches Priscilla and begins shouting, asking for his girlfriend Kim. However, Priscilla says she has no idea about Kim and asks the guy to go away. On the other hand, Kim approaches Josh and his friends while they are jamming. It turns out that Kim used to be Josh's girlfriend at high school, but now she works at Wet Valley Park. While they are talking, Tommy approaches them and makes it clear that he doesn't like the closeness of the two of them and quickly leaves with Kim. Next, we see Josh's father Michael sitting in the car and listening to a voicemail from his son. He has asked his father to watch their band perform at the water park later that night. In the meantime, the fun at Wet Valley Park has already started and the graduates appear to be having a good time. But something has to go wrong, right? Just then, two students decide to go down the water slide while holding a bottle of alcohol. Unfortunately, they collide with each other and the bottle hits one of them in the head, causing serious injury. Following that incident, Paul, who is the park's owner, calls paramedics to take care of the injured student, while Conrad cleans the pool of shattered glass and blood. In the afternoon, Chad and Slim ask Tommy to help them figure out the mixing board and speakers by the stage. While Tommy is occupied setting up the speakers, Josh takes advantage of the chance to spend some alone time with Kim. A while later, the two get into a steamy shower together and get intimate without realizing that someone is secretly filming them. Later that night, Priscilla goes on a dinner date with Josh's dad, Michael, who is a wealthy businessman. Based on their conversation, we find that Priscilla is the wife of Paul, who is the owner of Wet Valley Park. And even though she's married, Michael doesn't seem to be bothered by it. Is he a Chad? Let's find out. Sometime later, Josh and Kim return to the park and he immediately starts to perform with his friends. Kim happily watches the show from a distance as Tommy approaches her and asks where she was, but she simply replies that she was in the water with everyone else. Meanwhile, Michael and Priscilla also arrive at the event after their dinner date, and this is when Phil, the guy who was recording Josh and Kim's intimate session, sends the video to all of the students. Seeing this, Tommy becomes extremely angry and rushes to attack Josh while he's performing on stage. Then, after violently beating Josh, he drags Kim from the stage as well. On the other hand, the situation becomes even more chaotic when Priscilla discovers that her husband, Paul, has been cheating on her with Alice for months. Feeling upset and betrayed, Priscilla leaves the party with Slim, and soon enough, everyone else also leaves the area. Moments later, Michael approaches Josh and tries to calm him down. He asks Josh for his thoughts on buying the water park, but Josh is angry because Michael did nothing when Tommy beat him earlier. Meanwhile, Alice overhears their conversation and rushes to Paul, asking him if he plans to sell the water park without telling her. However, Paul denies her, claiming that he is not selling the water park and that he does not need to tell her everything, as their relationship isn't that serious. Now, when everyone is relaxing in their room, someone breaches through one of the water slides and inserts two sharp blades in the middle of the slide, as if they're preparing for a horrible massacre. The next morning, Michael is inspecting the water park when all of a sudden, a mysterious figure appears and points a gun at him. Michael begs for his life, but the killer shoots him in the leg and drags him into an isolated warehouse where there are already dead bodies of Cindy and Brad, the two lifeguards we saw earlier. On the other hand, Tommy is seen smoking in the car, upset that he got fired due to the scene he created last night. On top of that, Kim has also dumped him. Being the beta male he is, Tommy texts her to apologize and tries to contact her, but Kim continues to ignore him. Just then, Conrad comes up and tells him to stop thinking about Kim since she doesn't love him, but Tommy refuses to let go of Kim, saying he still loves her very much. He finds it easier to blame Josh for the mishaps, but Conrad tells him that Josh is not the problem. Hearing this, Tommy becomes irritated and asks Conrad to leave him alone, but Conrad mocks him by saying that he's already alone. That afternoon, Conrad starts setting up all the water slides for the students. He begins to fill the long slide with water so that everyone can enjoy their day. Unfortunately, no one has yet discovered the dangerous blades that have been put in one of the slides. As Conrad completes his task, he notices blood on the grass directly below the falls, but doesn't give much thought about it and walks away. In the meantime, Priscilla is having fun with Slim when she is suddenly caught by Paul. Seeing this, Paul gets uncomfortable and asks Slim to leave. The couple continues to quarrel, and Paul complains that he can't find Cindy or Brad anywhere. But Priscilla is unconcerned about this and claims that they probably ran out of frustration to avoid the responsibilities. Then, Paul asks Priscilla to be the pool keeper that day, since Cindy and Brad are absent. Later, the students are delighted to compete in a fun competition with a $500 cash prize. They will be divided into teams and will compete to see who can go down the water slides the fastest. Josh considers participating in the competition alongside Chad and Slim, but Slim is nowhere to be found. Just then, Priscilla appears, waving a large trophy in hand, and everyone cheers her on. Tommy also arrives at that moment, and when Priscilla informs him that he's been fired, he claims that he came as a customer and wants to participate in the contest. She becomes irritated and threatens to call the cops, but Paul calms her down by saying he doesn't want any drama. However, when Tommy walks to the waterslide area, he is kicked out by Phil and his friends. The competition is about to begin, and since Josh and Chad still haven't found Slim, they ask Kim to join their team. Later, when Tommy is about to leave, he discovers plastic shavings on the ground and a trail of water leaking from one of the slides. Seeing that something is wrong, he goes to warn the other students to stop the race, but everyone ignores him. Meanwhile, all the students are lining up to reach the top of the slides, while Conrad is relaxing by the pool. Waiting for the competition to begin, Paul shoots his gun into the air, indicating the start of the competition, and the students quickly go down the water slide. Tommy continues to try to stop them, but Phil becomes irritated and shoves him onto the slide. Moments later, 3 girls are going down the slide, and all of a sudden, they come across the sharp blade, which instantly mutilates them. The water coming out of the slide number 3 has turned red, and dismembered limbs are rolling down. The visitors start to scream hysterically seeing this, while Conrad sprains his leg in shock. Josh tries to climb the slide to see if he can help the girls, but he is unable to do so due to the water's strong current. On the other hand, Tommy also ends up falling into the same slide with blades. He sees the mutilated dead girls, and with no choice now, Tommy crosses his fingers and prays no one else slides down after him. Unaware of the scenario below, Priscilla challenges Paul to participate in the race, and if he wins, their marriage will return to normal. Paul agrees to the challenge and goes down, but unfortunately, he's on the dangerous water slide number 3. Josh runs upstairs at this point and tells everyone to stop sliding. Paul hears him amid the fall and tries to stop himself, just when Josh manages to grab his hand. Meanwhile, Tommy and the 2 girls, who are already squished between the blades, get pushed down further and die. The situation has turned into chaos with a pool of blood and human body parts. Conrad urges Kim and Chad to stop the water pump in the warehouse so that there would be no more victims. However, when Kim arrives there, she discovers several dismembered corpses and blood everywhere. She screams in horror as she sees Michael's corpse with a roll of cash in his mouth. Meanwhile, Paul can no longer hang onto the slides due to the strong water current. He tumbles to the ground and is slashed by the terrifying blades. Josh tries to stop the other students from sliding down, but he is ignored and shoved into one of the slides. But luckily, he ends up on the slide with no blades and survives. In the next scene, a lawyer informs Josh that his father has left him all of his properties and estates. However, the one matter that is yet to be finalized is the purchase of the Wet Valley Water Park, which he intended to demolish. Since Paul also died in the horrific accident, Priscilla is the only one who receives the proceeds of the sale. Josh completes the necessary paperwork and hands over to Priscilla a $20 million check. He comforts Priscilla as she cries, saying he's sorry, but she replies it's not his fault. Now, we see Priscilla smiling and remembering how 20 years earlier, her father died by accident at the same water park, and no one bothered to help him. She witnessed the entire thing when she was still a girl, and she most likely planned the recent massacre, maybe as a form of vengeance, or merely to acquire an inheritance. The movie ends.